Am I the a-hole for blowing up at my husband for lying to me about my sister and her baby leaving when he actually kicked her out? My sister 20 got out of a terrible relationship and moved in with me and my husband and brought her 5-month-old son. She's dealing with a handful of issues, from PPD to depression. I asked my husband if he'd be okay with her moving in, and he said absolutely. Not just this, but he was the one who picked her/brought her home. She stayed for 2 weeks and helped around the house. My husband started complaining about the baby crying, but a newborn is expected to cry especially at night. He said it causes him stress, although I suggested he put on earbuds. He suddenly told me to forget it, and so I did. Last week, I had to go out of town to attend a friend's funeral without my husband. He said he wanted to stay with my sister to make sure she's okay. I returned home the next day and didn't find her or her baby home. My husband said she contacted a friend in another town and wanted to move in with them and left that morning. He handed me a letter he claimed was from her. This felt odd, especially after reading the letter. I called her phone many times, but turned out my husband found it and said she must have left it behind. I was worried. I had no means of contacting her to make sure she was okay. I contacted relatives, but they knew nothing. Then yesterday, I got a call from an unknown number and it was her. We talked and she told me that she didn't leave on her own, but my husband kicked her out after telling her that she was no longer welcome and she needed to take responsibility for her decisions. I was shocked as she explained that she's not with a friend, but at a shelter and she has no money. I waited till he got home and I blew up at him. He admitted he faked the letter and hid her phone, then argued that it's his house too and he has a say. But he shouldn't have lied to me about my sister and causing her to be homeless. He said I was being unfair and wrong to lash out at him for wanting peace in his home. I went upstairs and refused to argue anymore. I told him I'm going to pick her up tomorrow and he said he'd change the locks while I'm gone, and I won't be allowed to bring her home. I'm thinking of going to a hotel, but he kept saying that I'm letting my sister affect our lives by prioritizing her. But there's a baby involved, my nephew, and I can't leave him homeless. I get that it is his house too, but I don't see why he's so against her staying. Now for the top comments before the little update. Not Dayhall. He waited until you were out of town so that you couldn't object. So that you couldn't protect her, as he not only kicked her out, but took her freaking phone so she couldn't contact you. He is a dangerous man. He threw a woman and her newborn onto the street without a care in the freaking world. Now he is threatening to lock you out of your own house? You need to divorce him immediately. He left a young mother and her young infant on the street and without protection because he was losing a little sleep and stressed. Now he is threatening to evict you from your own home? This is abhorrent. Bring her and the nephew back. Consult an attorney and get him out ASAP. He targeted a victim of an awful relationship for further mistreatment. Very freaking methodically. He timed this move for when her one advocate was out of town, and then crafted multiple, elaborate layers of deception to make sure you could not contact each other, and get her out of yet another unsafe situation he'd forced her into. Now he wants Opie to be homeless too. Like many spouses of abusive men, Opie's probably grappling with the instinct to show far more consideration for his feelings and basic needs than he would ever show for hers. This man is not your family member. This man is a threat to both of them. Divorce this man. OMG. He went behind your back to do this to your loved one. He even faked a letter and hid her phone from you. This is completely out of proportion to anything that happened. This was unwarranted cruelty and a breach of trust. GTFO of that relationship. He will absolutely repeat that behavior. Not Dayhall. He stole her phone and sent her to a homeless shelter with no phone. Like I don't know anyone's numbers. If someone took my phone and sent me to a homeless shelter, I'd basically be stuck there forever because I'd never be able to call someone to help. It's super lucky Opie's sister was even able to get in contact. Little update. He returned home and we started arguing again. I couldn't take it anymore, and I'm going to stay at a hotel for tonight. I'm leaving in an hour or so. He is wanting to talk again now, but I'm incredibly overwhelmed and stressed out and need some time by myself. I don't care if he's going to change the locks or not. I'm I'm working on meeting up with my sister as soon as possible so we can talk more openly about what happened and hopefully try and figure something out. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making inappropriate noises when my mother-in-law called my husband's phone at 2 a.m.? My husband Kevin and I got married months ago, and ever since we moved away, his mom has started calling more often. She had a mental breakdown when she heard we were moving. She begged we stay near because she needs him, though her 2 older sons are there. Anyhow, she'd call at random times, then started calling in the middle of the night, specifically at 2 a.m. I thought that was so weird, but she said she wanted to hear Kevin's voice but was too busy to call during the day. Kevin responds to her call every time, saying he's worried there might be an emergency. It's exhausting and completely ruins our alone time. I asked her to call at like 10, but no, she kept calling at 2 a.m. Kevin said he can't bring himself to ignore her calls and asked that I be patient. Last night, I decided I wasn't having it. I waited till Kevin was asleep and put his phone on vibrate and waited for her to call. 2 o'clock rolls around and the phone starts vibrating on a nightstand. I stretch my arm to answer and then I start making bedroom noises from the bed. I'm talking full-on moaning, and then some dirty talk, then moaning. Few seconds in and she ends the call. Kevin wakes up and asks if I was alright. I tell him it's just a fever, then he goes back to sleep. I woke up to a complete disaster with Kevin angrily asking what the heck I did last night when his mom called. Clearly, she was livid and mortified because Kevin said I just traumatized her by having her think we were doing it when she called. I told him what I did and insisted it was just out of frustration. But he said I shouldn't have done that and embarrassed him and made his mom uncomfortable. I said she was calling at 2 a.m. He said still I acted childishly and potentially harmed his relationship with her. I told him to just tell her I was behind this. And he said, oh, don't worry about it, I will. Then demanded I apologize to her immediately. But her shaming texts made me refuse. I might have gone about this the wrong way, but I was just frustrated, that's all. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Was it childish? Absolutely. But so is she. However, the biggest problem here isn't your mother-in-law, it's your husband. Not the a-hole. They seem to have a codependent relationship and you're stuck in the middle. He says he made his mom uncomfortable. Always being woke up at 2 a.m. isn't comfortable for you either, OP. The above post is spot on. Your husband is the problem. There's a reason sleep deprivation is considered torture. The others are right though, you have a husband problem. Maybe he needs to sleep elsewhere so that when mommy calls, to make sure that umbilical cord is still attached but you're not disturbed. Exactly. If my mom were doing this, I would put a stop to it. I was on a business trip a few years ago, and my mom called around 3:30/4 a.m., which for her was 6:30/7 a.m. She was mortified when she was told what time it was where I was. She hadn't thought about the time difference. This is purposeful in the middle of the night, and the husband, if he wants to keep a wife, needs to put a stop to it. Everyone sucks here. You're aiming your anger at the wrong person. If your husband didn't answer, you wouldn't be waking up every night at 2 because of his mother. You have a husband issue, not a mother-in-law issue. And the more you're going to do that kind of silliness, the more he's going to treat you like a child and like you're the problem. You need couples counseling. She has both. Yes, if her husband didn't answer, you bet your bottom dollar the mother-in-law would keep calling and calling and calling, then nobody would get any sleep. Not stay home. I probably wouldn't have made those noises, but I probably would have asked her to please not call at 2 a.m. since her pansy son won't do it. Sorry you married a mama's boy and not a man. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for turning my husband's gaming room into an office? My husband is out of job. He has been for months now and doesn't have any money because he spent it all on gaming gears and animals. I'm the breadwinner right now and recently was given a work-from-home job. We have 2 kids that understandably make a lot of noise, so there's not a quiet spot in the house except a bedroom. But my husband refused to let me work from there and said that 1, it makes me look unprofessional, and 2, he doesn't want to be restricted from his space. I asked if he'd let me take his gaming room and turn it into an office temporarily, but he said no. I had a fight with him and ended up moving his gaming stuff into the bedroom. He found out and lost his temper. I told him he left me no choice, especially after I offered a compromise to share the room. But since it plays at random times, he said no. He kept yelling at me, calling me irresponsible and a dictator. I firmly told him that this is part of the house. That is my space too. But he said, no, no, no. Your space is the kitchen. This pushed me to lash back at him and he left. But said by the time he got back, everything needed to be put back. He came home drunk, so I didn't want to fight with him. He then kept ranting about wanting his room back even after I tried to convince him to play in the bedroom all he wants. Yet he's not having it and wants the atmosphere his gaming room has. Am I the a-hole for this, or is he being unreasonable? I'll give him back the room if it turns out that I'm the a-hole. Edited to add for some clarification. When he said my space is the kitchen, I think what he meant is that I control everything there. From decoration to appliances, and I spent more time there compared to him. B, he used to contribute in a lot of things when he had a job. He used to pay for the kids' needs and handle bills and groceries. He makes sure to remind me about how much he used to do every day and tends to bring it up in every argument. He's not happy with losing his job, but circumstances are uncontrollable. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Can't work in your room, can't work in his gaming room. The kids need to be taken care of. Saying you belong in the kitchen is such a degrading comment. I hope things improve for you both. Honestly, it's tiring having to even fight about this. I have offered more than compromise, but he wasn't having any of it. I get that his gaming room is his personal space that he worked hard to create, but I wouldn't have done this if circumstances were different. You could put his stove plus a bed in the gaming room and you take the bedroom, which he's no longer allowed in. He'd probably agree to that. I mean, it really is more comfortable having your own bed. Not the a-hole. A space for working trumps an entire space for playing video games. Besides, while you're working, he's taking care of the kids and housework since he's unemployed, right? Agreed. But with as pig-headed as he is about losing his game room, I don't see helping Opie with the kids or housework without constant nagging at a possible fight. Dude went out and got drunk because he couldn't hide away in his dedicated game room anymore. Sounds like teenager attitude to me. No, no, no. Your space is the kitchen. This sealed the deal for me. You're raising 3 kids. I'm a gamer myself, but if I were a stay-at-home dad, I'd be doing everything to make it easier for her while looking for a damn job. Then bro said your space is the kitchen? I have no words. Might want to evaluate your marriage with this guy. Not saying divorce, actually I kinda am, but this dude needs a lesson. NTA, NTA, NTA. He actually said that in comparison to the gaming room. He pointed out how I control everything in the kitchen for decorations to time spent in it. But I don't think it's the same because he just doesn't want to spend time in the kitchen. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for taking a major financial decision without the input of my fiancé? This is going to be a long post with a lot of background info, so please bear with me. Before I, 32 male, was born, my mom found out that my bio father was cheating. They started on the divorce proceedings before she found out she was expecting. When she told him, he said that was impossible since he was infertile and she must have cheated. He asked for a paternity test, but she was emotionally exhausted and now suspects he was abusive, but she never told me so. So she asked instead that he sign away his parental rights since he was so sure that it wasn't his. Then she moved in with my grandparents. When I was 14, I asked her about him and I wanted a full story. She told me what I wrote above, and me, being the immature teen boy that I was, threatened to run away unless she contacted him. I thought then that she was just being petty, and that if I had proof I was his kid, he would be a dad. When she did, he sent this really hurtful letter to both of us, calling her a lot of names that makes my blood boil, and accusing her of trying to bleed him dry of his money. That was the day I decided that I don't need him at all. Fast forward to about 8 months ago. I guess he had a near-death experience and tried to contact my mom to apologize for what he did. Of course, she refused, but he managed to get a picture of me, and I'm like his clone. He contacted me saying that he was wrong and immature, and that he wanted to get to know the only kid he had in his life, but I refused. Then he started trying to bribe me to interact with him, offering to pay for my student loans, offering to get me a house, inviting me on expensive trips, and I refused everything. I told my fiancé, female 29, everything, and she was supportive at first. Then she started to urge me to get him to pay off our loans and help us to get a home. I refused categorically. It is relevant to mention that due to the pandemic, we have a lot of debt, and we delayed our wedding just to pay some of it down. I got fed up and asked him to meet. Then I told him that I will never accept a cent from him, and if he tried to contact me again, I would be calling the cops and be doing my best to get a restraining order. When I told my fiancée, she exploded on me. Said that me making that big a financial decision without consulting her showed her just how controlling and selfish I am. Now she left and won't answer my calls. So am I the a-hole? P.S. First, thank you all. I have read every single comment. Second, since I've seen it a lot in the comments, we are not in a desperate situation. The debt we decided to pay was all credit card debt, less than $6,000. And we are not planning to pay for our wedding by borrowing. That's why we decided to postpone it so we can save for it. We are currently in all our bills and are paying extra for the credit card and saving for our wedding at the same time. Not day-ho. This isn't a big financial decision. This is you squaring away family affairs and making it damn clear about a relationship with a man you do not want. Your fiancé seems more interested in milking the situation of money rather than giving a damn about how you feel. Good riddance, she's left, I'd say. Exactly. Not day-ho, and you've just learned a valuable lesson. Your fiancé is manipulating you for financial gain without any regard for your feelings. She just showed you her true colors. To be honest, the more I think about it, the more I'm appalled by her behavior. She left in an attempt to manipulate you and guilt you into taking money from a possibly abusive person. She has no problem exposing you to a toxic relationship if it means she'll get money out of it. It seems like she doesn't really care about you. I read plenty of stories here where people were encouraged to get money from their horrible parents to at least get something out of a bad situation. Usually minors who needed to not get financially stunted, but Opie's an adult that has the liberty of not resorting to these kinds of measures. Regardless, this is the kind of decision that a person has to make individually. Whether the money is worth the trauma, and the only input a partner should have in it is supporting their person through a tough situation. I want to give Opie's fiancé the benefit of the doubt. It sounds like they were offered a life-changing amount of money, the kind that blinds people. It doesn't make the reaction okay, but it is something that could possibly be worked through. Either way, I'm sorry Opie has been put through this type of situation. Update. Would I be the a-hole if I tell HR about my past with a new coworker? Original post. I, 34 male, am a lead developer on a team of mid-sized SaaS company that has 100 or so employees. Basically, we are large enough that there are employees we can see, recognize, but not necessarily know their names. Recently, we had a new hire, Krista, 33 female, who joined a project managing part of the project I'm working on. I have a history with Krista from college. In college, I was a lot more in my own shell. I didn't really treat myself well and was very much the introverted nerd, down to bad posture and poor fashion sense. Krista, she did have quite a few friends in college, but at least in my view, she wasn't super popular, but she was well-liked and was conventionally attractive. We shared a few classes together, and one day she asked me for some help on an assignment. I helped her on it and we talked, and from the sound of things, she seemed genuinely friendly to me. I helped her on a few more assignments, and finally she asked me if I wanted to meet her after a class at a coffee shop and talk. I said sure, and when I got there, Krista was nowhere in sight. I waited about 20 minutes before I called her. She answered and started laughing, and I heard several other voices laughing. Krista saying something like, "Why would I want to date a fat loser like you?" Looked out the front window of the shop and saw one of Krista's friends holding up her camera phone, and it looked like she was recording. Next few weeks, there were jokes about me, flyers with my face from the coffee shop video plastered up with creep and bold letters on top. I kept my head down, and within a month, the next big thing popped up on campus and I was forgotten. Didn't stop Krista and her friends from going, "Ew, creep," when they saw me. But I guess for the rest of the campus it got old, so I never got accused of anything or even really ostracized by the rest of the student body. After college, I did learn about self-care a bit better. Plus, I usually am with other programmers, so I really don't stand out as a social outcast. When Krista was introduced to our team, I don't think she recognized me. And it's only been a week, but I want to know if bringing up the college incident is even worth it for HR. Most of my rational brain really wants to just let this go, treat Krista as a new person, and get on with me. But I have a small fear that she might tell a skewed version of the college events and sour the team I'm on against me, so I should at least disclose to HR. So in case she does start telling tales, I have recourse. Reddit, would I be the a-hole if I told HR about my past with Krista? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. You should report it and have it documented so she can't turn anything around on you. I'd also ask if she can be put onto another project. I agree, and I wouldn't give HR too many details unless they ask. I would just let them know that she previously bullied and harassed you. Bruh, she made false allegations around campus about you being a creep because she asked you on a date and stood you up as a prank. She's a scumbag. What if she goes to HR and tells them you were a creep in college, came onto her, and tries to go after your job by getting you fired? Go to HR, report it, get head on it. If she says something, a response will always be seen as defensive and potentially lying. What if they have it on the record that she has a history of bullying and labeling people creeps? When she tries it again, they'll have serious trouble believing her and be keeping an eye on it and make someone else her direct supervisor, etc. So you'll be in less situations she could lie about. Say you don't want to be involved in any decisions about wages, firing, hiring, promotions, or being her direct supervisor. I think you should practice what you plan on saying to HR until you almost sound bored, relaying the facts as dispassionately as possible. I recently met a new hire, and I know her from college. She started and spread several rumors about me, then harassed me for X number of years, enlisting the help of a few of her friends. I wanted to request that we not be partnered in any projects going forward. Not that I harbor any resentment, but I want to protect my good name. Someone more eloquent and better versed in businessese language could probably put it together better. But that's the gist of it. Good luck and update us, please. Now for the first update. Yesterday some things happened. Some bad, mostly good. There were mixed responses, most telling me to tell, but one HR professional saying I shouldn't. Due to the mixed messaging, I did consult a local employment lawyer. The lawyer told me that I should make HR aware of the past I have with Krista, but make it clear that there was never anything disciplinary acted upon me in college. He asked if my job had a copy of my transcript, and I verified that it did. Lawyer asked if there were any third parties that would verify the harassment, and see if I could get their names and contact details if needed. I knew 2 people back in college that I still had on my LinkedIn, and was certain they would tell the truth, so we were good there. Lawyer told me to just request a meeting with HR and my supervisor. Say there was a past with Krista, there was never any charges or disciplinary action, and I have 2 witnesses if they ever need verification. So that was what I did. Friday morning, I came into the office and sent HR and my supervisor an email requesting a formal meeting at 10 a.m. My supervisor came to my desk and asked if everything was okay and wanted to make sure I was happy. I told him everything was fine, I wasn't leaving, and it wasn't anything with him or the team. He seemed relieved, and by 10 a.m. we rolled into the conference room with the HR officer. I thanked them both for taking time out of their day to meet me, and then I did as my lawyer instructed. I said that the new project manager, Krista, was someone I went to college with. She participated in harassment of me in college, detailed how I never had any charges or disciplinary action, and that I had 2 independent witnesses that sought harassment and gave their contact info. My supervisor seemed shocked, and the HR officer went through the info I gave her for a minute, and then the 2 of them talked for a minute. Finally, Krista was called in. When Krista walked into the conference room and saw me, HR and the team supervisor, she seemed shocked. HR started with something like, "We have been told you 2 have a past." Krista sat down and looked pretty shocked throughout. She did admit to the bullying, but tried to reframe it as a misunderstanding repeatedly. She never outright said what the bullying was, but then she was told that since this was an incident in both our pasts that nobody wants brought up again, that it should stay dead. HR made it clear that this is not to be a funny water cooler story to share. Krista and I both agreed to that, but Krista still looked shaken. Noon was coming up right when the meeting was wrapping up. My supervisor and HR again reiterated, neither of us is to breathe a word about the college incident. We're professionals, and we're here to do a job. I went to the break room for lunch, and actually I felt like my appetite has finally returned. The last few days were stress-starving me, to be honest. I sat at a table with the rest of the developing team and we started eating. Halfway through my sandwich, another coworker, Sandy, 30 female, came by and said, "So I heard an interesting story yesterday about you and Krista," with a big grin on her face. She didn't get further because my supervisor was at our table, stood up, pointed at Sandy and across the room at Krista and said, "You two, conference room, now." I wasn't privy to what happened in the conference room, but I did see the HR officer go into the room 2 minutes later, looking pretty ticked off and with a mustard stain on her shirt. I guess she got the call and was interrupted during lunch. Not sure what went on. The rest of the team asked what that was. I said, I have no idea, and just kept eating. 5 minutes later, 2 more coworkers on the other parts of the project were brought into the conference room. Lunch ended and we went back to work, but speculation was high. It wasn't until 3 that the conference room finally emptied. Krista looked like she was crying, and the others that were in the room with her seemed to treat her quite coldly. Not sure what this will mean, but it appears for now Krista is still working here. But I appreciate the lengths HR and my supervisor are taking to ensure this won't blow up further. "You two, conference room, now." I actually smirked like the Grinch when I read that. It is awesome that your HR department acted so quickly. It is obvious that Krista hasn't grown up even a little bit since college. She's still there though, and she'll come back to talk. Bullies thrive in keeping others down. She won't be able to help herself. I'm curious what kind of story she told Sandy, the coworker that had her running to Opie with a big grin on her face. There was nothing remotely amusing about what happened. Same, dying to know. I'm reassured by the fact the new coworkers were treating Sandy coldly by the end of the meeting with HR. She won't do super well. I bet she may even find a new job. We'll see. Bullies stay bullies. What an abhorrent witch. I want her fired. Nah, make her squirm. Make her so uncomfortable. Make it worse than constantly stepping on Legos. Make it worse than an itch you can't reach. She won't squirm. She'll keep talking crap about Opie until she's gone. I can't imagine why HR didn't let her go. They just told her to not gossip about the incident, and she ran right out and spread a story, or her version of it, to multiple people. What's the point of keeping her around? Second update. Monday wasn't a crap show, so that was good. My supervisor and the HR officer did bring everyone on the team into the big conference room for the HR officer. Said that we're a professional company, and while we do like to have fun, there are company outings like golf, bowling, main event. We are to be strictly professional and not gossip about coworkers' personal lives. Sandy and the 2 other coworkers who were brought into the conference room Friday looked pretty ashamed during this. Krista was sitting at the other end of the conference room table, and there seemed to be a noticeable distance between her and the other employees. My supervisor said he wants to consider this matter closed, and for us to get back to offering great solutions to our clients. Everyone filed out of the conference room and went back to work. Lunch on Monday was pretty tense, but Tuesday, management had a local Mexican place bring a Taco Tuesday for us, and the mood improved considerably. I don't gossip, but I did hear murmurs that Krista is now on her final warning and put on a performance improvement plan, all within her first 2 weeks. Not sure how true these rumors are, but with how isolated Krista now appears to be to the rest of the team, it is clear that everyone else is not willing to socialize with her beyond their work functions. I consider this matter closed myself, and if Krista worked hard and got her redemption arc, I'd have been fine with it. But then last night happened. Not sure where Krista got my address, but she was outside my house last night, and luckily my doorbell camera caught it, so I can pretty accurately transcribe it. She rang and asked if we could talk. I said through the digital doorbell there was nothing to talk about, and she better leave because this is now harassment. She pleaded for me to come outside and discuss it. I declined and emphasized she's not welcome. She then said she had a crush on me in college, that her friends found out she asked me to coffee and pressured her to turn it into a harassment campaign, and she was afraid of them disowning her for liking a guy like me. Guys, I wanted to laugh so freaking hard. I was socially awkward back in college, but even I knew this was BS. Heck, I wasn't even interested in Krista for a date. I thought she wanted to be my friend. I told her that I didn't care what she has to say. She has to leave. She told me I could just ask Sandy what she told her and it would clear this all up. I declined and said that this matter in the office is closed. Krista finally made an exaggerated sigh and walked off. I took the video recording from the doorbell and sent it to the employment lawyer and will give it to my supervisor in HR today. I will be shocked if she will last longer than this Friday now. Now for the comments before the last update. OP, the matter is resolved. Company, the matter is resolved. Krista, it's resolved. But how can I make this worse for myself? Krista, it's resolved, but I feel like I lost, and I want to win. It wasn't resolved to her because her reputation had taken a hit and people were closely watching her at work. She was ostracized and management was on the verge of getting rid of her, and she knew it. Of course, to her, owning up and working hard at changing her image would take too long. So why not just try to become chummy with OP, even if it puts back the target on her back? LMAO. Now for the last update. Krista is fired. I didn't even have to send HR the doorbell cam vid, but I did send it to the lawyer I was talking to. Lawyer is drafting a cease and desist and potentially a restraining order if needed. Krista somehow got my address from someone in IT. The IT new hire is suspended because of this data breach, and everyone got a memo about data security yesterday morning, including the usual about phishing scams. Krista's desk was empty when I came in yesterday morning, and since I'm taking the necessary legal steps, I'm considering this matter closed. Last story. Am I the a-hole for loudly confronting my coworker in front of everyone when she wrongfully believed I had groomed my wife? I'm 30 years old and male. My wife Jessica is 22. My wife has a 7-year-old son, Max, who she had when she was 15 years old. The father, who was her boyfriend in junior high school and is the same age as her, actually left the state when he and his family learned that she was pregnant. Jessica has no idea where he is, and since her family is well off, she didn't really need her care for support. I met Jessica when she was 20. We dated for a year, and then got married when she was 21. I love Max, and raising him as if he was my own son. Last month, Max came to my workplace with Jessica in the early afternoon to surprise me with a lunch outing. As they waited for me to finish up a meeting, the front desk secretary Claire chatted with Jessica. I wasn't there for the conversation, but Claire was stunned at how young Jessica looked, and Jessica said she was 22. Apparently, Claire did a bit of napkin math and came to the following conclusions. 1. Jessica is 22 and I'm 30. 2. Max is 7. 3. That means Jessica and I had Max when she was 15 and I was 23. Apparently, from that day on, Claire began gossiping about this. I had no idea what was going on, but I did notice that Claire abruptly changed her attitude towards me, glaring when she thought I wasn't looking, or rolling her eyes when I talked to other people. Well, today at work, when I was in the bathroom washing my hands, I overheard Claire gossiping with a new hire about my underaged wife outside the door by the water cooler. I left the bathroom and then walked up behind Claire. She turned around and looked like a deer in the headlights at me, and so I announced loudly, "Hi Claire, you see, I am not Max's biological father. In all of your gossiping to other people, you forgot to consider the most obvious possibility, which was that I am his stepfather. I will, by the way, be reporting you to the HR for this." I headed directly to HR and explicitly told them what Claire had said, and the manager, a fellow gossip friend of Claire's, asked if I really wanted to escalate over something so small. I said yes. She then told me Claire is a single mother and relies on his job, and that I shouldn't have embarrassed her in front of the office like that. I insisted on filing a report. After calming down a bit, I feel kind of bad about what I did. Claire cried at her desk and left early. Was I an a-hole to approach the issue that way? Now for the comments. Not a-hole. She basically called you a pedophile. If she cared that much about her job, perhaps she might have gotten all her facts straight before she started gossiping about you. Absolutely escalate this. Yeah, accusing someone of being a pedo isn't a small issue. If she so desperately needs her job, she should have thought before she spoke such a horrible accusation. I say let her butt get fired. And HR for engaging in it. OP could threaten to sue the company if they both aren't fired, although that might have consequences. I work in HR and have for the last 10 years. This was so inappropriate for the HR representative to say. They are to uphold company policies and laws. They are also supposed to be confidential. So not only did they not do their job by supporting and investigating your claim, they also participated and then disclosed personal information about another employee. You need to take it higher up and include HR representative in your claim. Not a-hole, you can go ahead and add a manager to your HR complaint too. On top of tanking your career, accusations of grooming are life-ending. Gather evidence and present an assertive case to HR. I'm definitely thinking of escalating the HR directly to the company's CEO, whom I'm on great terms with. I didn't expect HR to rush to the defense of the person calling me a freaking pedo. You should definitely escalate this. It's not a small issue when someone implies you groomed and impregnated an underage child. You don't know who else heard this rumor. It could have ruined your life. If the single mom card was going to be played, she should have behaved like a single mom desperate to keep her job. Instead, she behaved like a gossiping Karen. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my 19 female daughter she will have to move out of my house if I get divorced because of her lies after her stepdad saw her naked? Original post. Throwaway account due to the situation. But I need to know because I'm getting calls and texts from family accusing me of being an a-hole for not being on my daughter's side. My husband and I have been married for a little over 5 years now. I will say my daughter 19 female and he have an okay relationship. Not exactly father and daughter, but more of an advice ask and given type of relationship. I have never picked up on anything weird from my husband toward my daughter, and my daughter has never said or insinuated anything either. On Thursday, my husband and I were watching a movie in the living room. We paused the movie when he got up to use the bathroom. I heard him knocking on the door twice, literally 3 knocks each time, a couple of seconds apart. It was loud enough for me to hear from the living room. The next moment, I heard screaming. I rushed to the bathroom and saw my daughter completely naked, covering herself and yelling at my husband to get out. I didn't see everything that happened, but what I saw after hearing the yelling was my husband literally falling over his own feet and struggling to get the bathroom door closed. I asked my husband what happened and he said he knocked. Nobody answered, so we went in and saw my daughter naked in front of the mirror. He said to try to get out as quickly as possible. After my daughter calmed down, I asked her side of the story. She said she was changing and all of a sudden, my husband walked into the bathroom. I asked her why she didn't answer when he knocked. She said he didn't knock. I told her I heard him knock, so I was sure he did. She then admitted she didn't hear it because she had her AirPods on and was listening to music. We sorted the situation out, and my husband apologized to her, explaining that he thought the bathroom was empty. She even gave him a hug and apologized for yelling at him. The problem now is that my daughter got family members involved, and they are now calling my husband a creep. I got a call from my sister berating me for still having my husband in the house. I asked what she meant, and it came out that my daughter spun a whole other story. She left out the fact that she was listening to music with her AirPods and told everyone that she answered him, but he still walked into the bathroom to look at her. We have cameras in our hallway that prove my husband knocked. You can see it on the video, but the cameras have no audio. I sat my daughter down and asked her about it. She denied saying anything like that or telling anyone. I got mad and asked, "Then how does your aunt know what happened?" She went silent. She admitted she talked to my niece about it, and my niece must have told her mother. I asked her why she lied about what happened and made my husband look bad when he did nothing wrong. She denied lying about anything, but I told her what my sister said. She started crying and apologized, saying she was just talking and making up scenarios with her niece. Yesterday, I got calls and texts from family members as the wrong story spread. My husband is now looking like a creep to everyone. I sat my daughter down again and had her read some of the things being said about my husband. I told her she has to fix this because her line caused it. She refused, saying she didn't spread this and only told her cousin. She also doesn't want to say anything to anyone because they'll think badly of her. She said, "They know my husband and this will just blow over." Everything blew up when my husband walked into the living room with his bags packed and said he's going to stay with his parents for a while because he doesn't want to be in this situation anymore, where he's made out to be this kind of person. My daughter broke down, apologized repeatedly, and said she would fix it, but my husband still left. I told her that if I get divorced because of her lies, she will be moving out of my house. I told her she better fix what she did and tell everyone what really happened, because I will not lose a man who loves and actually cares for me over lies. She asked me to help her and I told her no. She isn't a child anymore, and her lies for attention caused this. This is on her. Now I'm being accused of taking my husband's side and not providing a safe space for my daughter. I don't know what to do. My husband asked for space, my daughter is inconsolable, and I am not in the best state myself. Now for the comments before reading the update. Extremely distressing for your husband. I would take your daughter, drive to the niece's house, sit down with the niece and her mother, and make your daughter tell them the real story. After that, I would insist that the niece's mother call every single person she or they told and admit she was wrong. If your daughter refuses, kick her out. For every person who said anything about your husband, cut them out of your life unless they apologize to him in person. She said she was lying, but for all I know, she's lying now. Her mom is making her say it's a lie. Why has the husband moved out if it was just a mistake? No matter what she says now, people will still believe he's a creep. I hope she's happy. You're the a-hole. Door locks. Stop making assumptions. Who said I don't have locks on the doors? Is it my fault my daughter didn't use the freaking lock on the door? You're the a-hole if you choose a man over your daughter. So I should choose my daughter who lied for attention, or some reason I don't really know, especially over something like this, over a man that has done nothing but love me and cared for us both, without asking for anything in return? Yes and no. Your daughter needs therapy. Something caused her to lie and create this chaos. If you kick her out, you could lose her for good, or she could really spiral out of control. Your husband did nothing wrong since you heard him knocking even though the video has no sound. I honestly think therapy for her individually, along with family therapy, will probably work in time. Nobody can say with 100% accuracy if it will, but it's worth trying. I know many are downvoting me, but honestly, I don't care. I just strongly feel that everything that can be done to help your daughter should come first. I will sound selfish now, I know that, but I don't care. My husband comes first now. My marriage comes first. Trying to fix what she broke comes first, not her. Especially since she refuses to help fix what she broke. Actions have consequences, and again, I will be called a bad mother, but she's going to learn this lesson the hard way. Now for the update over a week later. Sorry for only updating now, but I'm not in the best place at the moment, and it has taken me a couple of days to get my thoughts together. I don't know what to do anymore. My husband has asked for a divorce. First, let me answer a couple of questions I saw coming up repeatedly. Locks. We have locks on every door in the house. I don't know why my daughter didn't use the lock on the bathroom door. Cameras. The cameras inside the house aren't pointed at any door, except for the ones at the front and back doors. The other camera is at the end of the hall, and you can see every door in the hallway from that camera. Bathroom. We have a bathroom in our bedroom, but we can't use it at the moment because the water is shut off due to renovations. On Friday, my husband came back home and asked to talk. During our conversation, he showed me his phone, and some of the things my family members were saying about him were outright horrible. Calling him a pedo, asking him how many times he had peeked before. I don't recognize my family anymore. I understand if he had actually done something wrong, but he hasn't. The hatred they are showing over a stupid mistake tells me they refuse to listen, or they have hated him from the start and are now using this to try and get rid of him. He said he can't ever come back, and that this has now started to affect his work life as well. He was called into HR to explain himself, because some of my family members had called his office. Luckily, his employer hasn't taken any action and refuses to do anything unless a case is brought against him. They know my husband very well, and I think they believe him because he is still working. During our talk, he explained that he does love me and is happy I stood up for him, but my daughter's actions have caused too many problems, accusations, and fears. He said he has been sitting at the office and at his parents' home every day, just waiting for the police to show up and arrest him. He said her lies broke him, and he can't see a way to come back from this. I asked him to reconsider and suggested counseling, but he refused, saying everything is too broken to fix. I told him I would kick my daughter out and explained everything I had done to address the situation. However, he said I'm missing the point. His life could have been completely ruined because of a lie. My family will never trust him again and will always harbor hatred or suspicions about him. Now that my daughter wants to clear things up so long after the fact, they will think we forced her to do it, which will just make things worse. He said he will always remain the creep in their eyes. I told him we could cut off my family and move away. I showed him my phone and the messages I sent to every single person who refused to listen, and I told him I blocked them. He asked about my daughter. I said I would kick her out and she could stay with my parents. He asked if, after we moved away, I would abandon my daughter completely, because he doesn't want to be near her or alone with her at all. I didn't know how to respond. Before I could answer, he said again that it's better for us to get divorced. He said, I will never ask you to abandon your daughter. I will never expect you to do something like that. But I don't want her anywhere near me. If you abandon your daughter, I don't know if I could ever look at you the same afterwards, even if it was for my sake. The only solution here is for us to get divorced. At that moment, my daughter came running down the hallway into the living room, crying. I think she had been listening to our conversation. Before she could say anything, my husband jumped up from the couch, put his hands out, and asked her not to come near him. He said, before you say anything, I will start recording the conversation now, and took out his phone. I think I saw something break in my daughter's eyes at that moment as the realization of everything hit her all at once. She asked my husband to forgive her and said she never meant for things to get so out of hand. She explained she was just making up scenarios with her cousin, and her cousin ran with it. My husband asked her why she didn't clear it up immediately. She said she didn't think it would go this far and thought it would just blow over because everyone knows him. He showed her his phone and asked her to read some of the messages. My daughter went completely silent. We talked for about 4 hours. At the end, my husband said he would give us 3 months to move out of the house because it is his house. He said my daughter could keep the car because it was a gift and that he would finish paying this year's tuition but would not pay anything going forward. He said he hasn't gotten a lawyer yet but told me to get one. He would like to handle the divorce without lawyers, but if I want one, I can get one. He said he would be fair in the divorce and doesn't harbor anything against me, but he can't stay in the relationship. My daughter was sitting on the floor, looking like a ghost. I couldn't say anything while listening to him talk about divorce and splitting assets as if the last 5 years were nothing. The best way to describe it is like he was returning something to a store. He left the house and I just sat on a couch. I don't know if I was crying, talking, or what. I can't remember much, as everything felt muffled. Then my daughter started crying, saying, sorry, 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 over and over while lying on the floor. When I got up, I saw my husband's car still in the driveway. I looked out the window and saw him crying in the car. Seeing that completely broke me. My daughter and I haven't talked since Friday. My family members have shown up at the house to apologize because my daughter has now cleared everything up and even shared a video from the camera with them. Every time they show up, I just close the door in their faces. I've been getting Facebook messages, Instagram messages, calls, and texts. When I block them, they create new accounts or use different numbers. I don't want to lose my husband. I really don't. This is the first man I've ever met who has treated me with kindness, respect, and love, and now it's all over. I've tried to talk to him and convince him to go to counseling, but every time I try, he responds, I can't take the risk. I've tried to meet him in person, but he says it wouldn't be a good idea. I've gone to his parents' house, but they refuse to let me see him. I've gone to his work, but I was told he was sent home by his boss. I don't know how to fix this. Having my daughter move out won't work because I need to move out of the house as well. I don't want anything from my husband, I just want him. I haven't talked to a lawyer yet, but I don't think I can keep the house. He owned it before we moved in. I really want to fix this. I still want to kick my daughter out of the house, but would he still give me a chance to fix it, even after what he said about me abandoning my daughter and not seeing me the same afterwards? Am I really going to lose a wonderful man? Edit. I forgot how Reddit fixates on one thing. Regarding the house, I have no intentions of trying to take his house or anything like that. It's not my house. I had questions in my previous post about the house, and I think I just answered them here. I am not going to try to take his house. He owns it and has owned it since before we got together. I have no right to the house and will not try to take it. I hope this clears it up. Quite simply, you can't fix this. What your daughter did is absolutely horrendous. She has ruined your soon-to-be ex-husband's reputation and your relationship with one lie. Stop visiting him at work. Stop trying to contact him. Just stop. As hard as this is for you, it's even harder for him. The more you reach out, violating his boundaries, the more likely he is to build resentment. If you're unable to respect his wishes regarding contact, it's no wonder your daughter has boundary issues. Focus on rebuilding your and your daughter's lives from scratch, without him. Get therapy for your daughter so she learns to be better. Right now, she's a dumpster fire. It sounds like he is going to be very kind to you in the divorce. Exactly. Opie needs to leave this poor man alone. And leave him alone for good. He doesn't deserve all this drama. What is happening with your sister and her daughter? Is your niece showing remorse? Are there going to be consequences for her actions? Do you think your family will reach out to your husband's company to apologize for their stupidity? I'm sorry, Opie. I wish people understood how false allegations can ruin a person's life. Your daughter and niece's stupidity and callous behavior destroyed a family, a marriage, your relationship with your daughter, and your relationship with family members. They are completely silent. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my mom to Christmas dinner after what she did last year? I'm 34 years old and a mom of 2 little kids. Last year, during Christmas dinner, my mom, 65, caused a big scene. She showed up with several bottles of wine, even though we all knew she's in treatment for alcohol issues. At first, everything was fine, but halfway through dinner, she started criticizing my husband, 37, in front of everyone. She mocked his job and said it wasn't good enough for her daughter. I tried to calm her down, but after a few minutes, she started bad-mouthing me too, saying I had been a disappointment as a daughter. My kids, who are 7 and 4, were there listening to everything. It was so humiliating, we had to ask her to leave. This year, I decided not to invite her to avoid a similar drama, but my sister, 40, is furious with me. She says it's cruel to leave her alone on Christmas and that I should give her another chance. My husband supports my decision, but the rest of my family is making me feel like the villain. Am I the bad one for protecting my family's peace and not inviting her? Now for the comments. Your sister is free to spend Christmas with her, but you're wise not to. Your kids come first, not your alcoholic mother. She doesn't get to ruin another holiday for them. They don't need those kinds of memories. Not a-hole. Exactly. Inviting her over again will just lead to another ruined holiday. Protect your peace and your children. Your sister can host her if she really wants to. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. My mom did something similar to my sister last Christmas. She got very drunk and screamed at her over something trivial in front of her 2 young kids, 3 and 5. My sister cut her off completely after that, and I don't blame her for a second. It shouldn't just be Christmas where your mom isn't welcome. She shouldn't be in Opie's kids' lives at all, until she's been sober for a year. Opie's husband shouldn't have to deal with her either, not until she's been sober for a year and apologizes to him for being disrespectful. Not the a-hole. I am a substance abuse therapist. This is a boundary you need to put in place to protect yourself and your family, as well as to send a message that you won't tolerate her poor choices and behavior. Love her from a distance. Time can heal these wounds, but she needs to prove to you that she will stay clean and sober, and she needs to rebuild that trust.